People just still unable to understand the whole Ukraine problem. So let's break it down, compare it to things that we do understand, okay? So think about politics in any other country that claims that it is a democracy, right? So you think Britain. Britain has Conservative and Labour as the main two parties. Then you've got all the little split-offs. But everybody knows those two parties. You can name the guys at the top of those parties. America has Republicans and Democrats. They're a bunch of little small individual guys. But everyone knows that's the two parties. You can name the guys on either side. And it's the same throughout Europe, throughout the developed world. The only countries which this doesn't apply to are not democratic countries. Who is Ukraine's opposition leader? Do you know his name? What's his party called? You don't know. No one does. They're irrelevant. That's why Trump said Zelensky is like a dictator. Because everyone knows the Ukrainian National Party. Everyone knows Zelensky. But that's it. That is the entirety of Ukrainian politics. Is one guy, one party, one value system. And anyone who says different is a Nazi. You notice that? Anyone who says different must be a Putin asset. A Russian asset. Working for those sneaky Russians. And do you know why that is like that? It wasn't always like that. For a small time there was free elections in Ukraine and there were several parties. How did we get from their basic framework of democracy in Ukraine back to where we are now, where it's Zelensky, Ukrainian National Party, and that's the only game in town? It's because when the actual elected leader of Ukraine, the old president who fled for his life and is now in exile, when he fled the country and Zelensky by default became their president, the first thing he did was he persecuted every single potential political rival, not even people who were his rivals, people who potentially could become his rivals in future. He persecuted them all. They all went to jail or they left the country. Then after that, he made new laws saying these parties are actually Nazis. We can't have these anymore. No one's allowed to vote for these parties because they're Nazis. They're fascists, is what he said. But remind me, what is the thing that makes a fascist, as opposed to someone who has democratic value, democratic principles? The thing that makes you a fascist, if you are indeed a fascist, is you come down like a ton of bricks with violence or politics or any means necessary on anyone who disagrees with your position. You will not even have the discussion. You will not negotiate. You will not compromise. That is a fascist. That's a dictator. This is why Trump said Zelensky's like a dictator. Because he is. Now, we've all given him a lot of chances because he claimed on the surface that he was going to be this great defender of the free, value-led Democrat. But it hasn't been like that. Like, we have to face the facts. It has not been like that. And the proof is, if we strip away the rhetoric, we strip away all the fancy words, the politics, and we assess and discern his behaviour, what results does he get? The results that he has gotten in his presidential life is Ukraine is now a one-party, one-politician dictatorship, begging for money from those around the world. It's a fact. And the fact is, we know this is a fact because you cannot name the opposition party or any of its members, and even if you Google them now and say, I know their names, you don't know who they are, you don't know what they stand for, you never see them in the media, you never hear about them, even Ukrainians don't know them. So that is the difference between Ukraine, Britain, Germany, France, Spain, Portugal, America, Australia, Canada, any of these other democratic nations. Now, they're not perfect, they have their faults, they're not all perfect democracies, none of them are. Democracy is not perfect for a start. But they all have defined main party, main opposition party, smaller individuals. And you can plot them on a graph. You can say, these are the guys, these are what they stand for. If I want, I can vote for them, and they might win. They don't end up in jail being called Nazis for opposing the stock narrative. like they have done in Ukraine, which is why Zelensky is the president, the Ukrainian National Party is the ruling party, and there is no other game in town. And there won't be while Zelensky remains in power. But of course, I am now speaking against the stock narrative of Ukraine and Zelensky, which has become one and the same. So that means I must be a Nazi. I must be a Putin Russian asset, right? It's the whole Hegelian dialectic. If you don't support A, then you must support B. I don't support A or B. I'm not a fan of Putin's Russia, of communism in general. Anyone who knows me knows that. I have criticised communism fearlessly throughout my career on YouTube, and I'm not a fan. But on the same hand as that, I am not a fan of Zelensky's dictatorship over Ukraine. They might as well be the same thing, Ukraine and Russia, at the moment. Think about it. They're both at war. They both claim the reason they're at war is because their opponent is Nazis. They are both apolitical, one-party dictatorships led by a single man who is crazed for power and actually wills for dead soldiers and money. That's what they both do. Both of them put on a suit. Well, one of them does anyway. Putin's got the good sense to put on a suit when he's seen in public. But they both put on a show, right? They both put on a drama, perform in public when we can see them, because they want us to think this is what they're really like. And they say things to suggest this is what I'm really like. But I was saying to someone earlier, never trust someone's words, because words can deceive. We use words to lie whenever we do that. Behaviour never lies. Results don't lie. So when we are going to assess these people to whether they are really how they appear, if they are really true to their ideals that they speak in their words, look at their behaviours and the results those behaviours have gotten. And the conclusion is, when we look at Zelensky's results, he has purified the political system of Ukraine into a single man, a single party, a single idea. And anyone who opposes that idea is a Nazi who should leave the country or be jailed. And if you don't agree, you're also a Nazi. It's fascism 101. It's no better than Putin's Russia. In fact, at least Putin's Russia has got enough to it to enter discussions with free countries, to put on a suit and do the whole stage show bit in terms of an honest politician. Zelensky can't even do that. He's quite happy to wear a suit and turn up in Turkey to speak against the West with a suit. He did that a few years ago, although he now forgets to mention this. And when he's appearing in front of the Ukrainian parliament, when he is taking over the country, he's quite happy to say, I will never rest until Ukraine invades Russia. I do not want to rest until Russia is defeated. That's what he said. That's the real guy. That's his real politic. Dictatorship. And so, like I said before, Ukraine has deeper problems than Russia and war. Ukraine's problems start and end with corruption in the political system and this portrayal that Ukraine is a democratic free country when it absolutely is no longer that. And until they get rid of Zelensky and his dictatorial goons, it is not ever going to change. No matter how much money we throw at them, no matter how many tanks we park on their border and throw the keys to them and say give them back in a good condition, fill up the petrol, none of that matters. Because once the war is over, the politics will take over. And the politics of Zelensky are very, very similar to Putin's communist dictatorship. It just, like I say, you can see it. Don't listen to the words, look at the results of the behaviour, and you'll see that. And that's the problem with Ukraine. So let's hope his successor, whoever it may be, even if it's Vladimir Klitschko, the retired Ukrainian boxing champion, even if it's him, let's hope whoever it is has the good sense to actually have democratic value, and rather than going to war, a disinformation campaign and violence against political rivals, meet them in fair political combat and prove to the people that they can be trusted and that they are thinking of Ukraine and the world, not just their own pockets. then we will see peace virtually overnight. Like we would have if he'd have signed the damn peace treaty the other day. But anyway, that's the end of this video. Hope I made you understand the complexities of the politics of Ukraine. It's not complex at all. It's a dictatorship that calls itself a democracy. So, that's all for now. Hope you enjoyed that and you learned something. God bless you all, and I'll see you lovely people in the next one. Bye now. And isn't it interesting how the rest of the WEF puppetry panel all follow that same mould? Starmer, Trudeau, Macron, all these guys, they're all going to end up the same way. So, that's all for now. God bless you all, and I'll see you lovely people in the next one. Bye.